Ever wonder what really happens behind the locked doors of a psych ward? Honestly, I've been there, and it's nothing like the movies. No dramatic breakdowns, no eerie music, just real people facing some of the hardest moments of their lives. Maybe you're struggling right now. Maybe you're trying to support someone you love. Or maybe you're just trying to understand what this experience is really like. Whatever brought you here, I want you to know this video is for you. I'm going to tell you everything I wish someone had told me before I first walked through those doors. Because going in blind when you're already falling apart, that's terrifying in ways it doesn't need to be. Here's what I need you to know right now before we go any further. You are not facing this alone. 1 in 5 adults experiences a mental health crisis severe enough to consider hospitalization each year. That's your coworker who seems fine at meetings, your neighbor who waves every morning, your friend who always has it together on social media. Many of us carry this secret knowledge of what it's really like when your mind breaks, when thoughts turn dangerous, when reality becomes unreliable. The psychiatric hospital saved my life, not because it was comfortable. It wasn't. Not because it was easy. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. But because it gave me something I couldn't give myself. Complete safety when nothing else could. It's a place where people go when their mind is in crisis, where you're watched closely, cared for, and finally not expected to hold it all together on your own. It gave me permission to stop pretending, to stop fighting alone, to finally let someone else hold the weight I'd been carrying. The first time I was admitted, I thought my life was over. I was convinced I'd never be trusted with important responsibilities again, never be seen as capable, never be normal. I was wrong about all of that. What actually happened was that I discovered I was stronger than I knew, that healing was possible even when everything felt hopeless, and that asking for help was the bravest thing I'd ever done. A quick but important note. This content is for educational purposes, grounded in lived experience and research. It is not a substitute for professional medical advice. If you're in crisis, please don't wait. Call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 988. For mental health concerns, reach out to a licensed healthcare provider. You are not alone. Recognizing a mental health crisis is hard because the part of you that needs help is also the part you're using to judge if something's wrong. But understanding the signs can be life-saving. A crisis can begin subtly. You might feel completely overwhelmed by daily tasks. Brushing your teeth, showering, or answering a text can feel impossible. You're not being lazy or dramatic. Your brain is overloaded. Your emotions might become intense and unpredictable. Panic attacks can make you feel like you're dying, even when there's no danger. You might fly into rage over small things, or cry uncontrollably for reasons you can't explain. Or maybe the opposite happens. Everything goes numb. You don't feel joy, sadness, anger, just nothing. Life feels distant, meaningless. That's not indifference. That's shutdown. Sleep and eating patterns often fall apart. You might sleep for 14 hours and still feel exhausted, or be unable to fall asleep because your mind won't stop racing. Some people go days without eating because food feels pointless. Others eat compulsively to self-soothe, then spiral into guilt. These physical disruptions aren't just symptoms. They can worsen your mental health in a dangerous loop. Thoughts can turn dark. Maybe it starts with a quiet wish to disappear, or a belief that others would be better off without you. These are passive thoughts, and while common, they still matter. But if you begin making plans, researching methods, writing letters, or giving away possessions, that's no longer passive. That's urgent. You need help immediately. Sometimes your sense of reality changes. You might feel like you're in a dream, like you're watching life through glass, or like you're not fully present. You may believe you're receiving messages through music or street signs, or feel like people are watching or controlling you. This break from reality, called psychosis, can be terrifying and dangerous, and it's never something to handle alone. And even if you can't see the full picture, others might. If friends or family express concern about your behavior, your mood, or your safety, try not to dismiss it. People who care about you often notice things you can't see from the inside. Their worry isn't judgment, it's love. A mental health crisis doesn't always look like screaming or collapsing. Sometimes it looks like silence, isolation, or total exhaustion. And if any of this sounds familiar, it might be time to reach out. Psychiatric hospitalization is like intensive care for your mind. It's not a punishment. It's a protective space used when safety becomes the top priority and outpatient care isn't enough. The most common reason for hospitalization is intent with a plan and access to means. Thinking, I don't want to be here is serious, but when that turns into, I'm going to take all my pills tonight, or I know exactly where and when I'll do it, that's a crisis requiring immediate structured intervention. Plans plus means, like pills or a weapon or a chosen location, mean your life is at immediate risk. Psychotic episodes are another major reason. Psychosis isn't just being out of it, it's losing your ability to tell what's real. You might hear voices that feel completely convincing, see things that aren't there, or believe you're being followed or targeted. You might feel like you're receiving divine messages, or that your thoughts aren't your own. These experiences can feel real and terrifying. Without treatment, they can lead to unsafe behavior, confusion, or total disconnection from the world around you. Severe mania can also require hospitalization. At first, it might feel like unstoppable energy or brilliance, like you're finally your best self, but judgment quickly disappears. You might go on reckless spending sprees, engage in dangerous sex, drive without caution, or believe you're invincible or destined for greatness. Sleep becomes unnecessary. Thoughts race too fast to finish a sentence. Euphoria often turns to irritability, paranoia, or aggression, especially when others can't keep up with your mind. Once the mania fades, the crash can be devastating, often leaving behind broken relationships, financial ruin, or legal trouble. Severe depression with psychotic features is especially dangerous. You might feel completely paralyzed, unable to eat, speak, or move. On top of that, you might hear voices telling you you're worthless or deserve to die. You might believe you're responsible for things that aren't your fault, or that people are conspiring against you. This mix of helplessness and delusion is one of the most life-threatening mental states, and hospitalization provides the intensive care needed to interrupt it. Catatonia is another serious condition. It can look like total stillness, rigid posture, no speech, no movement. Or the opposite, extreme, repetitive, and purposeless agitation. You might be awake but completely unresponsive, not eating, not drinking, or you might be pacing non-stop, repeating motions or words without control. Both types are medical emergencies. Severe panic and anxiety can also lead to hospitalization. Panic attacks can feel like heart attacks, chest pain, shortness of breath, dizziness. Some people become so afraid of having another attack that they stop leaving their homes or seeing other people. When daily life becomes impossible due to fear, and physical symptoms feel life-threatening, emergency care may be the only option. Finally, substance-related crises can trigger or worsen psychiatric symptoms. Stimulants like meth can cause paranoia or hallucinations that last for days or even weeks. Withdrawal from alcohol or benzodiazepines can lead to seizures, intense anxiety, or life-threatening symptoms. Even medications prescribed for anxiety can cause crises when misused or suddenly stopped. No matter the cause, psychiatric hospitalization is meant to stabilize you, not to shame you. It's a reset button, a space where the world slows down and safety comes first, so healing can begin. Mental health crises don't ask permission. They don't check your calendar or wait for a convenient moment. They crash into your life during finals week, right before that big presentation, or while you're juggling everything for everyone else. Suddenly, the world keeps spinning while you feel like you're falling apart. I remember sitting on my dorm room floor at 2 a.m., staring at textbooks I couldn't focus on, terrified of disappointing everyone who believed in me. That crushing fear of falling behind, of judgment, of losing everything you worked for, it's real. It's not dramatic or weak to feel overwhelmed when your mind is in crisis while life demands you keep performing. The shame can feel as heavy as the crisis itself. Our culture treats mental health struggles like character flaws instead of what they really are: medical conditions that require care, not criticism. Here's what I wish someone had told me back then. You matter more than any deadline, grade, or milestone. You can retake a class, rebuild a career, catch up on missed opportunities, but you can't do any of that if you don't take care of yourself first. Seeking help isn't giving up. It's pressing pause so you can heal and come back stronger, with real tools and support that will serve you for years to come. Many schools and workplaces have systems specifically for mental health crises. Medical leave, incomplete grades, flexible deadlines. You don't have to share every painful detail to access help. Just saying I'm struggling and need support can open doors you didn't know existed. This feels enormous right now, but it's temporary. Healing takes time, but it builds lasting strength. What feels like an ending might actually be the beginning of the life you're meant to live. One where you know how to care for yourself when it matters most. Understanding how psychiatric hospitalization typically occurs can reduce fear and help you feel more prepared if you or someone you love needs this level of care. There are generally two main paths to admission, each with different experiences and levels of choice involved. When someone calls 911 for psychiatric emergency, it triggers a coordinated response designed to get you safe medical care as quickly as possible. The process can feel overwhelming, especially when you're already in crisis, but understanding what happens can make it less frightening. Police officers typically accompany EMTs to psychiatric emergency calls, but this doesn't mean you're in trouble or have done anything wrong. This is standard safety protocol for mental health emergencies, designed to protect everyone involved, you, the EMTs, and any bystanders. Most police departments now provide crisis intervention training to officers who respond to mental health calls. This training teaches them to approach people in crisis with understanding rather than force, to de-escalate tense situations, and to recognize that you're experiencing a medical emergency, not committing a crime. EMTs are trained both in medical and mental health emergency response. They'll assess your immediate safety, check your vital signs, and ask questions about what's happening and how you're feeling. They're not there to judge or interrogate you. They're gathering information needed to get you appropriate care. The responding team will ask questions about your current mental state. Are you thinking about hurting yourself or others? Are you hearing or seeing things that others can't? Do you know where you are and what day it is? These questions help them understand your immediate safety needs and level of crisis. They might ask about medications you're taking, substances you've used, medical conditions you have, or recent events that might have triggered the crisis. Honest answers help them provide the safest and most appropriate care. If there's immediate risk of harm to yourself or others, they might need to use restraints during transport to the hospital. This isn't punishment. It's purely for safety during a time when your judgment might be affected by your mental state. The restraints are removed as soon as it's safely possible. The ride to the hospital can feel surreal and frightening. You might feel embarrassed, especially if neighbors witness the emergency response. Remember that seeking emergency care for mental health is just as valid and necessary as calling an ambulance for a heart attack or broken bone. The EMT riding with you will continue monitoring your condition and might ask additional questions about your symptoms, medical history, or emergency contacts. They're trained to provide calm, supportive care during transport. The hospital team will be expecting you based on radio communication from the EMTs, so your arrival will be coordinated and the staff will already have basic information about your situation. The alternative path involves going directly to a hospital emergency room for psychiatric evaluation. This route often feels less chaotic and allows you more control over the process, though the end goal, getting you safe, appropriate care, remains the same. You might recognize that you need immediate help and choose to go to the hospital yourself. This demonstrates significant insight and courage. Acknowledging that you need more support than outpatient therapy can provide, and taking action to keep yourself safe. You can drive yourself if you feel safe doing so, or ask a trusted friend or family member to take you. Having someone accompany you can provide emotional support during a frightening experience and help advocate for your needs if you're having trouble communicating clearly. Sometimes your therapist, psychiatrist, or primary care doctor might recommend immediate hospital evaluation based on what you've shared in appointments or conversations. They might offer to call ahead to the hospital to explain your situation and arrange for direct admission to a psychiatric unit, potentially bypassing some of the emergency room waiting. Mental health professionals are trained to recognize when outpatient treatment isn't sufficient for your current level of crisis. Their recommendation for hospitalization comes from clinical experience and a genuine concern for your safety, not from wanting to get rid of a difficult patient. If you have time to prepare, bring identification, insurance cards, and a list of current medications. Comfortable, loose-fitting clothes without drawstrings, belts, or metal hardware are ideal. Slip-on shoes work better than shoes with laces. You might want to bring a few comfort items, like photos of loved ones, a journal, or a book, though the hospital will need to approve these items for safety. Don't bring valuable items, as secure storage may be limited. Having emergency contact information readily available helps staff notify people who need to know about your hospitalization and can provide support during your stay. The admission process can feel like a blur when you're already in crisis. Your mind might be racing, you might feel numb, or you might be struggling to think clearly. Understanding each step helps you know what to expect and feel more in control during a time when everything feels chaotic. Whether you arrive by ambulance or walk in, you'll start in the emergency room. The triage nurse will ask about what brought you to the hospital and assess your immediate risk level. Questions like, are you having thoughts of hurting yourself? And do you feel safe right now? Help them prioritize your care. Emergency rooms can be overwhelming environments. Bright lights, constant noise, unfamiliar smells, and lots of activity. When you're already in mental health crisis, this sensory overload can feel unbearable. Staff understand this and will try to place you in a quieter area when possible. You might wait before seeing a doctor depending on how busy the ER is and how they assess your immediate risk level. This waiting can feel endless when you're already in crisis. But staff are monitoring you regularly and will intervene if your conditions change. Nurses will check your blood pressure, heart rate, temperature, and oxygen levels. These vital signs help identify any medical issues that might be affecting your mental state and establish baseline measurements for monitoring your condition. They'll ask about your medical history, current medications, allergies, and recent substance use. This information might feel irrelevant when you're having a mental health crisis, but physical and mental health are closely connected, and this information is crucial for safe treatment. Be completely honest about substance use, even if you're embarrassed or worried about judgment. Medical staff need accurate information to provide safe care, and they're bound by confidentiality laws. They're not there to judge, they're there to help. Before you can be admitted to a psychiatric unit, doctors need to ensure that your symptoms aren't caused by medical conditions and that you're physically stable enough for psychiatric treatment. Blood tests might check for infections, thyroid problems, vitamin deficiencies, blood sugar irregularities, or levels of substances in your system. These conditions can all cause or worsen psychiatric symptoms, and identifying them changes your treatment plan. Urine tests can detect substances that might not show up in blood tests or might indicate kidney problems. If you've had head trauma recently or are showing signs of neurological problems, they might order CT scans or other imaging studies. Some physical conditions can mimic psychiatric symptoms. Thyroid disorders can cause depression or anxiety. Certain infections can cause confusion or agitation. Brain tumors, though rare, can cause personality changes or hallucinations. Medical clearance ensures you get treatment for the right condition. A doctor will conduct a physical exam, checking your heart, lungs, abdomen, and neurological function. They're looking for signs of medical conditions that might be contributing to your mental state or that might affect your psychiatric treatment. This examination might feel intrusive when you're in mental health crisis, but it's a necessary part of comprehensive care. The medical team needs to understand your complete health picture to provide the safest and most effective treatment. Once you're medically cleared, a mental health professional will conduct a detailed psychiatric assessment. This evaluation forms the foundation of your treatment plan and helps determine whether hospitalization is necessary. The clinician will ask detailed questions about what's happening right now. What thoughts are you having? Are you hearing voices or seeing things others can't? How long have you been feeling this way? What triggered this crisis? They'll assess your mood, thought processes, perception of reality, and level of insight into your condition. They're trained to recognize signs of various mental health conditions and to assess how severely they're affecting your functioning. This conversation might feel overwhelming or repetitive if you've already answered similar questions, but each professional is gathering information for their specific role in your care. The emergency room doctor focuses on immediate medical safety, while the mental health professional focuses on psychiatric treatment needs. The most important part of the evaluation involves assessing your risk of harm to yourself or others. The clinician will ask direct, specific questions about thoughts. Have you thought about yourself? Have you made specific plans? What's prevented you from acting on these thoughts? They'll also ask about thoughts of harming others. Are you angry at specific people? Have you thought about hurting anyone? Do you have access to weapons or means of harm? These questions can feel uncomfortable or invasive, but they're absolutely necessary for determining the level of care you need. Honest answers ensure you get appropriate protection and treatment, not judgment or punishment. The clinician will assess your understanding of your condition and your ability to make safe decisions. Do you recognize that you're experiencing mental health problems? Do you think you need treatment? Can you keep yourself safe if you go home tonight? This assessment isn't about testing your intelligence or rationality. It's about determining whether your current mental state allows for safe decision making about your own care and safety. Based on the comprehensive evaluation, the treatment team will decide whether hospitalization is necessary, and if so, whether you can be admitted voluntarily or need involuntary commitment. Voluntary admission means you agree that hospitalization is necessary and consent to treatment. This is always the preferred option because it means you're actively participating in your own care rather than having treatment imposed upon you. When you're admitted voluntarily, you maintain more rights and control over your treatment decisions. You can participate in treatment planning, request specific accommodations when possible, and maintain more autonomy within the safety constraints of the unit. Voluntary admission doesn't mean you can leave whenever you want. It means you agree that you need to be there and will work with the treatment team. If your condition changes and you become unsafe, your status might change to involuntary, but this requires additional clinical assessment and documentation. Involuntary admission happens when the clinical team determines you're a danger to yourself or others, and you're unable to make safe decisions about your own care due to your mental state. I know this feels devastating. It feels like your rights are being taken away, like you're being punished for being sick, like you've lost all control over your own life. These feelings are completely understandable and valid. But involuntary commitment isn't punishment. It's medical protection designed to keep you alive when your mind can't make safe decisions. Just like doctors wouldn't discharge someone having a heart attack who wanted to leave against medical advice, mental health professionals can't discharge someone who's actively suicidal and unable to maintain their own safety. Involuntary commitment has strict legal requirements that vary by state, but generally require that you be mentally ill and dangerous to yourself or others, and unable to care for yourself or make rational decisions about treatment. Even when you're involuntarily committed, you retain important rights. You have the right to legal representation, the right to appeal the commitment decision, and the right to have someone contacted on your behalf. You have the right to be treated with dignity and respect, to receive appropriate medical care, and to be held in the least restrictive environment consistent with your safety needs. Hospital staff should explain these rights to you, usually both verbally and in writing. Many hospitals have patient advocates who can help you understand your rights, navigate the system, and ensure your voice is heard in treatment decisions. Don't hesitate to ask for an advocate if you need one. Hi, just a quick intermission here. If you're finding this content helpful, would you mind liking and subscribing? It would really mean a lot to me and help me continue creating videos on mental health, our psychology, and ways to cope. Also, I've put together a free safety plan that you can download. It's a tool I believe can make a real difference. It helps you stay stable during a crisis by keeping all your important information in one place, making it easier to access when you need it most. I really appreciate you being here, and I plan to keep making more videos to support you. Let me take you inside a psychiatric unit and show you what it's actually like. Not the Hollywood version with padded rooms and straitjackets, but the real human experience of healing in a place designed specifically for mental health recovery. Yes, the doors are locked. Yes, you need staff permission to leave the unit. This can feel claustrophobic and frightening, especially if you've never been in a locked facility before. But these locks serve a fundamentally different purpose than prison locks. They're designed to keep the danger out and the safety in. When your mind feels like a battlefield, when you can't trust your own thoughts, being in a completely secure environment allows you to rest in ways you probably haven't been able to for weeks or months. You don't have to worry about keeping yourself safe. That's someone else's job now. The unit is designed as a therapeutic community where everyone is focused on the same goal: healing and recovery. Staff, patients, and visitors all understand that this is a medical environment dedicated to mental health treatment. Every single element of the physical environment is carefully designed to prevent harm while maintaining dignity and comfort. Furniture is heavy or bolted down, not to make you feel restricted, but to eliminate potential weapons during moments when someone might not be thinking clearly. Bathroom fixtures are designed to collapse under pressure. Shower heads are recessed. Mirrors are made of polished metal instead of glass. These modifications might seem excessive, but they create an environment where impulsive self-harm becomes nearly impossible, giving you space to work through crisis safely. Your personal belongings will be restricted, and this can feel dehumanizing at first. Shoelaces, belts, razors, and anything with sharp edges will be secured. But remember that mental health crises can change rapidly. Someone who isn't suicidal when they arrive might develop those thoughts as their condition fluctuates. Most of your time will be spent in shared spaces, and this is actually where much of the healing occurs. The day room usually has comfortable seating, a television, books, games, and puzzles. This is where you'll spend free time and where informal peer support naturally develops. The dining room serves meals family style, creating opportunities for social connection and normalcy. Eating together helps maintain routine and provides natural chances for conversation and mutual support with other patients. Group therapy rooms are set up to encourage participation and openness. Meeting rooms for individual therapy provide privacy for more personal work. Some units have additional spaces like art therapy rooms, quiet meditation areas, or even small libraries. Better funded units might have gyms, computer labs, or secure outdoor courtyards. These amenities aren't luxuries, they're therapeutic tools to support different aspects of recovery and help maintain connection to normal life activities. Most psychiatric units have phones available for patient use, allowing you to maintain contact with the people who matter to you. These calls can be a lifeline during your stay, helping you feel less isolated and more connected to your support system outside the hospital walls. You'll also need to handle practical matters like notifying your school or employer about your absence. This can feel overwhelming when you're already dealing with so much, but most institutions have policies for medical leaves, and you don't have to share specific details about your hospitalization. When I had to contact my university, I simply explained I was dealing with a medical situation and needed to withdraw from my classes for the semester. The process was more straightforward than I'd feared, and the relief of not having that academic pressure allowed me to focus entirely on my recovery. It's natural to worry about falling behind at work, missing important deadlines, or how your absence might affect others. These concerns are valid, but remember that taking care of your mental health isn't selfish. It's necessary. Getting the help you need now will ultimately make you better able to handle these responsibilities when you return. Your mental health is worth the temporary disruption to your routine. You'll likely have a roommate, someone else navigating their own mental health journey. This shared experience can be surprisingly comforting because you're with someone who truly understands what you're going through without needing explanations. Room assignments are made based on clinical considerations like diagnosis, risk level, age, and gender, not personal preferences. If serious conflicts arise that interfere with your treatment, you can request a room change, though this depends on bed availability. The room itself is intentionally simple and minimal. You'll have a bed with a firm mattress, basic linens, and a small dresser or nightstand, and maybe a desk and chair. The simplicity serves the purpose, reducing distractions and creating a calm environment for rest and recovery. Personal belongings are limited to clothes, books, photos, and comfort items that pass safety screening. While this feels restrictive, it also removes the burden of managing possessions when your mental energy needs to focus entirely on healing. One of the hardest adjustments is the constant monitoring. Staff will check on you regularly, every 15 minutes, sometimes more frequently if you're at higher risk for self harm. They'll observe your activities, mood, and behavior throughout the day. This level of surveillance can feel invasive, especially when you want solitude to process your emotions. It can feel like you have no privacy or autonomy remaining. But when your mind feels dangerous, when you can't trust your own thoughts, being watched isn't surveillance, it's protection. Some patients require one on one supervision, meaning a staff member stays with them at all times, even in the bathroom. This happens when someone is at immediate risk of self harm. It feels extremely intrusive, but it's temporary and literally life saving. Sleep can be challenging with frequent nighttime checks. Staff try to be quiet during these rounds, but you'll likely be awakened by flashlights or briefly turned on room lights. Some people find this comforting, knowing someone is watching over them while they're vulnerable. Others find it disruptive and exhausting. Bathrooms are shared, designed with safety as the primary concern. This might mean doors that don't fully lock, fixtures designed to break away under pressure, or windows that allow staff to check on you if needed. You might need to ask staff for certain items like razors for shaving. Shower time might be limited or scheduled, especially in units with fewer facilities. Being surrounded by strangers feels overwhelming, but the hospital team is genuinely on your side. Understanding their roles help you feel more in control, and knowing what each person does can turn intimidating strangers into the support system you need. Nurses are who you'll see the most. They'll give medication, check vitals, and monitor your progress throughout the day and night. They're trained in mental health and offer emotional support when you need it most. If you feel scared or need to talk, nurses are safe people to turn to. They've seen it all and won't judge you for having a panic attack at 3 a.m. or crying during medication time. I remember one nurse who found me overwhelmed in the hallway. Instead of rushing me back to my room, she simply said, "This is really hard, isn't it?" and sat with me for a few minutes. This small act of acknowledgement changed everything for me. Don't hesitate to ask nurses questions. They're there to help, and they understand that being in the hospital is scary. Psychiatrists guide your medical treatment. You'll meet regularly, often daily, to discuss how you're feeling and adjust medications as needed. These conversations might feel clinical, but they're crucial for your recovery. Be completely honest about symptoms and side effects. They can only help with the full picture. If something isn't working, speak up. If you're experiencing side effects, tell them. They're not there to judge. They're trying to find the right treatment combination for you. Mental health techs spend the most time with you on the unit. They lead group activities, help maintain calm environments, and provide day-to-day support. They're often the ones who sit with you one-on-one during particularly hard moments, offering quiet, steady presence when you need it. They might help you with practical things like calling family members or understanding the daily schedule. Many patients find that techs become some of their most trusted allies during their stay. Social workers are your bridge to life after the hospital. They start working on your discharge plan almost immediately, connecting you with outpatient therapy, community resources, or housing support if needed. They advocate for your successful transition home and help coordinate the care you'll need once you leave. They understand that leaving the hospital can feel as scary as arriving, and they work to make sure you have support in place. Therapists and psychologists lead individual and group sessions where you explore feelings, understand triggers, and learn practical coping skills. But they're where the real healing often begins. Therapy helped me understand my patterns and gave me tools I still use today. It's where I learned to trust myself again. Patient advocates are your voice if you feel confused about your rights or treatment, especially during involuntary stays. They help you understand the process, ensure you're heard, and can address concerns about your care. Don't hesitate to ask for an advocate if you need one. These people chose careers dedicated to helping others during their most vulnerable moments. It's okay to ask questions, speak up for what you need, and express when something isn't working. You deserve this care, and they're here to help you heal. Let me walk you through what a typical day looks like. Understanding the routine eases uncertainty and helps you know what to expect during your stay. Days usually start early, around 6 or 7 a.m., with a nurse gently waking you for vital signs and morning medication. This might feel jarring at first, especially if you're used to sleeping in, but the early start serves a purpose. It helps reset your circadian rhythm and creates structure when your world feels chaotic. Breakfast happens in the shared dining area, usually between 7:30 and 8:30 a.m. You might find yourself sitting with the same people each morning, sharing small conversations that gradually build into meaningful friendships. The food isn't gourmet, but it's adequate, and dietary staff can usually accommodate allergies or religious restrictions. Mornings often include group therapy sessions starting around 9 or 10 a.m. These are safe spaces to learn about mental health, share experiences if you feel comfortable, and build skills for managing difficult emotions. These topics might range from understanding depression and anxiety to practicing mindfulness or learning about medication management. It's completely okay if you don't feel like talking. Just listening can be incredibly healing. I spent my first few group sessions barely speaking, but hearing others share similar struggles made me feel less alone. Afternoons bring variety. One-on-one sessions with your psychiatrist, individual therapy, or creative therapies like art or music therapy. Art therapy surprised me. I hadn't picked up a crayon since elementary school, but something about creating without judgment felt freeing. Music therapy helped me express feelings I couldn't put into words. Free time is built into the schedule for rest, reading, socializing, or just sitting quietly. Your mind and body need these calm moments to process and recover. Evenings are intentionally relaxed. After dinner, which is usually served around 5 or 6 p.m., there might be light activities like movie time, board games, or educational groups about coping skills. Some units have visiting hours in the evening, allowing family or friends to connect with you. Evening medication is distributed around 8 or 9 p.m., followed by quiet time before lights out, typically around 10 p.m. Rest is crucial for recovery, and staff are available throughout the night if you have trouble sleeping or need support. Medication is a key component of treatment for many people. Nurses distribute medications several times throughout the day, usually morning, afternoon, evening, and sometimes a bedtime dose. They'll carefully monitor you for side effects and effectiveness. You might receive antidepressants, mood stabilizers, antipsychotics, or anti-anxiety medications, depending on your diagnosis and symptoms. Finding the right medication combination takes time and honest communication. Some medications need weeks to show full effect, while others work more quickly. Don't be discouraged if the first medication doesn't work perfectly. It's common to try several before finding what works for your unique brain chemistry. I went through 3 different antidepressants before finding one that helped without making me feel numb. Therapy groups are cornerstones of treatment. You'll explore topics like emotional regulation, stress management, interpersonal skills, and planning for life after the hospital. Groups might focus on specific techniques like cognitive behavioral therapy or dialectical behavioral therapy. Participation is encouraged but never forced. You're free to pass when asked to share, and that's completely acceptable. Peer connection was the most powerful part of my experience. Talking with others who truly understood what I was going through made me feel less alone for the first time in months. These connections happen naturally in group therapy, during meals, watching TV in the common area, or just chatting during free time. There's something profound about being surrounded by people who don't need explanations for why you're struggling. They just get it. These relationships reminded me that I wasn't broken. I was healing alongside others on similar journeys. Having visitors can be powerfully healing, providing a reminder of life outside the hospital walls and helping you feel grounded and connected to your support system. However, visits can also feel overwhelming when you're not ready for them. Visiting hours typically happen during set afternoon or evening periods, usually lasting 2 to 3 hours. Most units allow 1 or 2 visitors at a time in designated common areas. You generally can't have visitors in your room for privacy and safety reasons. Children can often visit with adult supervision and prior approval from staff, though some units have age restrictions. Remember, your choice matters completely. You don't have to see anyone if you're not ready, and you can change your mind at any time. There were days during my stay where I needed space to process what I was going through, and that was perfectly okay. You can ask staff to limit certain visitors or block visitors entirely if needed. They'll support your decision without question and won't share details about why you don't want visitors. Some people find that visits energize them and provide hope, while others find them emotionally draining or anxiety provoking. Both reactions are normal, and your feelings about visits might change throughout your stay. Discharge planning isn't just about leaving the hospital, it's about setting you up for continued success and stability in your daily life. This crucial process starts almost from the moment you arrive, not just in your final days. Typical stays last anywhere from a few days to a couple of weeks, depending on your individual situation, diagnosis, and response to treatment. The goal isn't to cure you completely. That's not realistic in such a short time. Instead, the focus is on stabilizing the immediate crisis, ensuring your safety, and connecting you with the ongoing support you'll need. Your treatment team meets regularly to discuss your progress and readiness for discharge. They're looking for signs that you're stable enough to continue your recovery outside the hospital. Improved mood, better sleep, reduced thoughts of self-harm, and engagement with your treatment plan. This assessment is entirely centered around you, your unique strengths, challenges, and the specific path forward that makes sense for your life. Before leaving, you'll receive a comprehensive plan designed to help you feel confident and prepared for the transition back to daily life. This isn't a generic handout. It's tailored specifically to your needs and circumstances. You'll receive medication prescriptions with clear instructions on dosing and timing, along with information about potential side effects to watch for. Follow-up appointments will be scheduled before you leave, typically with the psychiatrist within a week or two, to ensure continuity of your medical care. Having these appointments already scheduled removes the burden of making calls when you might not feel up to it. You'll get crisis hotline numbers and emergency contacts for immediate support when you need it most. This includes national crisis lines, local emergency services, and specific numbers for your treatment team. Keep these numbers easily accessible in your phone, on your refrigerator, or wherever you'll remember them during difficult moments. They'll provide a written guide helping you recognize your personal warning signs and manage symptoms as they arise. This might include identifying your specific triggers, early warning signs that you're struggling, and step-by-step strategies that work for you. This guide empowers you to take charge of your well-being and catch problems before they become crises. Most importantly, you'll create a personalized safety plan with your treatment team, a detailed step-by-step guide for what to do when you start feeling overwhelmed or having thoughts of self-harm. This plan includes people to call, places to go, and specific coping strategies that help you stay safe and grounded during difficult moments. Healing doesn't stop at the hospital door. Several types of outpatient support are available to help you continue your recovery journey, each offering different levels of intensity and structure. Partial hospitalization programs offer intense daily treatment while allowing you to sleep at home. You might attend programming 5 to 6 days a week for several hours each day, participating in group therapy, individual sessions, and medication management. PHPs provide crucial structure during that vulnerable transition period where you're no longer in 24-hour care but still need significant support. Intensive outpatient programs step down from PHPs, typically meeting 3 to 4 times per week for a few hours each session. These programs focus on therapy, skill building, and peer support while allowing you to gradually resume work, school, or other responsibilities. Individual therapy provides regular one-on-one sessions with a therapist who can work with you long-term on the underlying issues that contributed to your hospitalization. This ongoing relationship becomes a cornerstone of your recovery, offering consistent support and professional guidance. Medication management appointments with a psychiatrist ensure your medications continue working effectively and allow for adjustments as needed. These appointments are typically monthly at first, then may spread out as you stabilize. Support groups offer wonderful opportunities to connect with others in your community who understand what you're going through. Whether it's depression support groups, anxiety groups, or general mental health support, these connections can become lifelines during difficult times. These resources are designed to support you and help you feel less alone as your recovery continues. The key is finding the right combination that works for your life, schedule, and needs. As you prepare to leave, remember that your hospital team remains available for questions and support. Take it one day at a time, and don't be afraid to reach out for help when you need it. If you've made it this far, I need you to hear this loud and clear. A stay in a psychiatric hospital is not the end of your story. It's often the beginning of a new chapter, one where you're no longer carrying this weight alone, where you have tools and support you didn't have before, and where recovery becomes not just possible, but probable. It takes incredible courage to face a mental health crisis and let others help you through it. The fact that you're here, listening to this, seeking information, that's already a huge victory. Just getting to this point shows tremendous strength, even if you don't feel strong right now. Recovery isn't a straight line. Some days will overflow with hope and energy. Others will feel heavy and difficult again. That's not just okay. It's completely normal and expected. Healing isn't about achieving perfection or never struggling again. It's about taking small steps, showing up for yourself, especially on the hard days, and using the tools and support systems you're building to navigate life's inevitable challenges. If you've been hospitalized for your mental health, or if you're facing that possibility, please know this. You are not alone. Millions of people have walked this path before you and have gone on to live full, meaningful, joyful lives. Your current struggle doesn't define your future. You are not broken. You're human, experiencing very human struggles that deserve care, compassion, and professional support. Asking for help is one of the strongest, bravest things a person can do. It takes courage to admit you're struggling, and even more courage to accept help. Recovery is absolutely possible. Not just possible, it's probable when you have the right support, treatment, and tools. The hospital stay might feel scary or overwhelming, but it's often the first step towards feeling better than you have in a very long time. You deserve support, safety, and healing. You deserve to feel peace, to experience joy, and to live a life filled with purpose and connection, no matter where you're starting from today. Your story isn't over. This might be one of the most difficult chapters you'll ever write, but it's leading somewhere better. Hold on to hope, even when it feels impossible. Better days are coming.